welcome you to the lecture on fluidity of cell membrane. An important aspect of membrane function is the fluidity of the lipid bilayer and the resulting freedom of motion of membrane components that the term implies. Lipid molecules are much smaller than proteins and are therefore especially mobile. A phospholipid molecule, for example, has a molecular weight of about 800 daltons and can travel the entire length of a bacterial cell in about a second. Many, though not all, membrane proteins are also free to move laterally within the membrane. However, proteins typically move much more slowly than lipids, in part because they are much larger molecules with molecular weights 20 to 100 times those of phospholipids, but also because they tend to establish connections with other membrane proteins and with underlying cytoskeletal structures. The fluidity of the membrane can be studied with a series of techniques that are physical or biological. The physical techniques are of two main types. Number 1, it involves a minimal perturbation of the membrane such as X-ray diffraction and nuclear magnetic resonance, abbreviated as NMR spectroscopy. And number 2, use of certain added molecules to monitor specific sites of the membrane such as fluorescence microscopy and electron spin resonance, abbreviated as ESR spectroscopy. These physical techniques can be subdivided on the basis of their ability to examine either the lipid or the protein components or both. The data obtained provide information on lipid protein packing, lateral diffusion of lipids, lipid protein interactions, the fluidity of the membrane and the rate of transmembrane rotation, that is flip-flop of molecules across the bilayer. The biological techniques involve light microscopy, fluorescence microscopy and electron microscopy, including freeze fracturing and radioisotope labeling methods. The fluidity of the membrane in this model also implies that both the lipids and the proteins have considerable freedom of movement within the bilayer. The fluidity of the lipid depends on the degree of saturation of the hydrocarbon chains and on the ambient temperature. Let's talk about the mobility of membrane lipids. The mobility of the membrane lipids can be demonstrated experimentally by a technique called fluorescence recovery after photobleaching. The investigator tags or labels lipids or protein molecules in the membrane of a living cell are localized by covalently linking molecules of a fluorescent dye to them. A high intensity laser beam is then used to photobleach the fluorescence of the dye in a tiny spot a few square micrometers on the cell surface. When the cell surface is examined with the fluorescence microscope, a dark non-fluorescent spot is seen on the membrane initially. Within seconds, however, the edges of the spot become fluorescent as bleached lipid molecules diffuse out of the laser treated area and fluorescent lipid molecules from adjoining regions of the membrane diffuse in. Eventually, the spot is indistinguishable from the rest of the cell surface. This technique not only demonstrates that membrane lipids are in a fluid rather than a static state, but also provides a direct means of measuring the lateral movement of specific molecules. Moving ahead, we discuss membrane fluidity and temperature. The physical state of the lipid of a membrane is best described by its fluidity, that is, its viscosity. As with other substances, lipids can exist in a solid phase or in a liquid phase of varying viscosity depending on the temperature. The change in state that occurs at the transition temperatures is a shift from an ordered state to a disordered one. The increased disorder above the transition temperature is illustrated by the increased lateral mobility of the lipids. So, the fluidity of a membrane is related to the mobility of its phospholipid components. A considerable proportion of the lipids in the membrane are unsaturated because the melting point of the bilayer is below the body temperature. Those phospholipids having lower transition temperature melt first, while those having higher transition temperatures await a further input of thermal energy before assuming more mobile state of the liquid crystal. When complex mixtures of lipids are present, there is a range of temperature over which different lipids may exist in different phases. This condition is termed as phase separation. Some lipids are in the frozen state while others are in the liquid state. As lipids melt out of the frozen state, they leave behind the parts of the membrane in solid patches in which lipids of higher transition temperatures can be found. Within the liquid parts of the membrane, there will exist lipids of varying mobility as well as preponderance of membrane protein. The fluidity of a membrane also depends primarily on the kinds of lipid present. The three most important aspects of lipid composition that affect membrane fluidity are the length of the fatty acids present, the degree of unsaturation of their side chains, that is, the number of double bonds present, and for animal membranes, the amount of cholesterol in the membrane. The temperature at which a saturated fatty acid melts depends on its chain length, with transition temperatures ranging from 32 degrees Celsius to 76 degrees Celsius for saturated fatty acids with 10 and 20 carbon atoms respectively. Sites of unsaturation affect melting temperature even more markedly. For fatty acids with 18 carbon atoms, the transition temperatures are 70, 16, 5 and minus 11 degrees Celsius for 0, 1, 2 and 3 double bonds respectively. As a result, membranes containing many saturated chains have transition temperatures between 40 degree and 50 degrees Celsius, whereas membranes with mainly unsaturated chains melt at about 0 degree Celsius or lower. The effect of unsaturation on membrane fluidity is so dramatic because the kinks that double bonds introduce into fatty acids prevent the hydrocarbon chains from fitting together snugly. Membrane lipids with saturated fatty acids pack together tightly, thereby optimizing their van der Waals interactions, whereas lipids with unsaturated fatty acids do not. The lipids of most plasma membranes contain fatty acids that vary in both chain length and degree of unsaturation. In fact, the variability is often intramolecular because membrane lipids commonly contain one saturated and one unsaturated fatty acids. This property keeps most membrane lipids in the fluid state at physiological temperatures. We now learn the effects of cholesterol on membrane fluidity. For animal cells, membrane fluidity is also affected by the presence of cholesterol. The plasma membranes of most animal cells contain large amounts of cholesterol, up to 50% of the total membrane lipid on a molar basis. Cholesterol molecules are usually found in both layers of the plasma membrane, but a given molecule is localized to one of the two layers. The molecule orients itself in the layer with its single hydroxyl group, the most polar part of the molecule, close to the polar head group of a neighboring phospholipid molecule, where it can form a hydrogen bond with the oxygen of the ester bond between the glycerol backbone and a fatty acid of the phospholipid molecule. The rigid hydrophobic steroid rings, the hydrogen steroid rings and the hydrocarbon side chain of the cholesterol molecule interact with the portions of adjacent hydrocarbon chains that are closest to the phospholipid head groups. This intercalation of cholesterol molecules into the lipid monolayers results in reduced membrane fluidity at higher temperatures. However, cholesterol also effectively prevents the hydrocarbon chains of phospholipids from aggregating as temperature is decreased, thereby reducing the tendency of membranes to freeze upon cooling. Thus, cholesterol has the dual effect of decreasing membrane fluidity at high temperatures and increasing it at low temperatures. It also causes phospholipids of higher transition temperature to become more mobile and phospholipids of lower transition temperature become less mobile. Its general effect in natural membranes at physiological temperature is to increase the viscosity and restrict the mobility of phospholipids. In addition to its effects on membrane fluidity, cholesterol also decreases the permeability of a lipid bilayer to ions and small polar molecules. It probably does so by filling in spaces between hydrocarbon chains of membrane phospholipids, thereby plugging small channels through which ions and small molecules might otherwise pass. In general, a lipid bilayer containing cholesterol is less permeable to ions and small molecules than a bilayer lacking cholesterol. Cholesterol is also thought to enhance both the flexibility and mechanical stability of the phospholipid bilayer. Furthermore, we detail the mobility of membrane proteins. The concept of membrane fluidity applies not just to membrane lipids but also to the proteins embedded within those lipids. One of the simplest methods to study mobility of membrane proteins is by binding gold or carbon particles to the cell surface and observe the movement of those particles on the surface by light microscope. More information has come from studies in which different ligands such as antibodies and plant lectins interact with cell surface receptors. If these ligands are labeled with fluorescent dyes, their movement can be followed by fluorescence microscope. Particularly convincing evidence for the mobility of membrane proteins came from cell fusion experiments and from studies of a phenomenon called patching and capping in white blood cells. Cell fusion. The technique of cell fusion is one of the important tools in biology to study the mobility of membrane proteins. It has been demonstrated by cell fusion experiments from the work of David Fry and Michael Adidin. These researchers took advantage of two powerful techniques, one that enabled them to fuse from two different species and another that made it possible for them to take the surfaces of cells with fluorescent dye molecules. Their approach was to tag mouse and human cells with fluorescent antibodies against plasma membrane proteins specific to the two species. They then fused two types of cells and observed the hybrid human mouse cells with a fluorescence microscope to see what happened to the plasma membrane proteins from the two parent cells. When the cells were first fused, the membrane proteins from the mouse cell were localized on one half of the plasma membrane of the hybrid cell, whereas those from the human cell were restricted to the other half. In a few minutes, however, the proteins from the two parent cells began to intermix, and within 40 minutes they were randomly distributed in the plasma membrane of the hybrid cell. Based on these results, Fry and Edidin concluded that the intermixing of the fluorescent proteins resulted from lateral diffusion of the human and mouse proteins through the lipid bilayer. Patching and capping. The cell that has been most intensively studied with respect to the mobility of its membrane proteins is the lymphocyte. These cells are of the immune system and are responsible for the production of antibodies against foreign materials, and the membranes of these cells contain immunoglobulins, that is, antibodies as well. Since the immunoglobulins of one animal are different from those of another, they can be used as antigens to evoke the production of antibodies. Antibodies are proteins that can combine with the appropriate antigen at more than one site within the antibody molecule that are multivalent. These antibodies are capable of interacting with more than one immunoglobulin in the cell's surface. Another class of multivalent interacting molecules is a collection of proteins termed as lectins, which are capable of combining with the carbohydrate chains projecting from the cell surface. The clustering or capping effect in lymphocytes may result in the displacement of antigenic molecules within the surface membrane. In this case, upon treatment with a labeled antibody, the antigens are first randomly distributed, but after some time they become clustered, forming patches and agglomerate at one pole of the cell, that is the process of capping, where pinocytosis of the antigen antibody complexes takes place. The process requires ATP and is mediated by microfilaments attached to the cytoplasmic side of membrane proteins. This process is also inhibited by temperatures that produce solidification of the lipid bilayer. The change in the distribution of proteins within the plasma membrane provides strong evidence that integral membrane proteins can move laterally within the membrane. A number of histochemical techniques using the electron microscopy may give information about the fluidity of the membrane. Another extremely valuable tool is freeze fracturing, with which it is possible to demonstrate the movement of the particles in response to different experimental conditions that produce changes in the molecular structure of the membrane. According to mobile hypothesis, both the receptors and the enzymes can diffuse independently within the plane of the membrane. In this model, there is a greater degree of freedom within the lipid realm of the membrane and would allow different receptors to couple to a single enzyme. In an experiment fusing cells in which the adenylate cyclase was inactivated, but the receptor remained intact with other cells which contain only the enzyme, resulted in receptor enzyme coupling. The receptor of one cell, example the beta adrenergic receptor of an erythrocyte, was coupled to the adenylate cyclase of the other cell, example a tumor cell lacking the receptor. The coupling is manifested in cyclic AMP, abbreviated as CAMP, of the receptor interaction with the specific ligand, that is isoproterenol. The fluid mosaic model has been used to explain that the many receptors present in the cell membrane are coupled to enzymes such as adenylate and guanylate cyclase. Membrane receptors are macromolecules in most cases of a protein that act at the interface between the cell surface and the environment. A receptor has the dual function of recognizing a chemical signal, that is, one of the many regulatory agents such as peptide hormones, neurotransmitters, prostaglandins, antigens, plant lectins and some bacterial toxins, and of initiating a biological response. The function of recognition is determined by the presence of a site that binds specifically to the ligand. This interaction produces a conformational change that may induce the translocation of ions or the activation of the membrane enzymes such as adenylate cyclase, thus producing cyclic AMP. Lastly, we glance the importance of membrane fluidity. Membrane fluidity provides the perfect compromise between a very rigid ordered structure in which mobility would be lacking and a completely fluid non-viscous liquid in which the molecules would not be oriented, organization and mechanical support would be lacking. Fluidity allows for interactions within the plane of the membrane. The interactions can be lipid-lipid, lipid-protein or protein-protein in nature. The interacting molecules can come together, carry out the necessary reaction and either remain together or move apart depending on the conditions. For example, the role of membranes in information transfer. There are agents such as hormones which combine with the membrane by external receptors and cause a change in activity of enzyme adenylate cyclase present on the inner side. The receptor and this enzyme are not always linked to one another, but they interact as a result of their movements within the membrane. The interaction occurs only when the receptor and hormone are combined. The fluidity of the membrane allows movements of integral proteins that facilitate these events. Fluidity is also important in membrane assembly. Membranes arise only from pre-existing membranes and growth is accomplished by the insertion of lipid and protein components into fluid matrix of the membranous sheet. Fluidity is believed in allowing the flow of materials to occur within membranes and possibly the flow of entire membrane itself. In this way, materials can move from their point of insertion to other locations in the cell. Many of the most basic cellular processes including cell movement, cell growth, cell division, formation of intercellular junctions, secretion and endocytosis depend on the movement of membrane components and would probably not be possible if membranes has a rigid non-fluid organization. Summary: the fluidity of a cell membrane is mainly due to lipids and proteins embedded within the cell membrane. Lipid molecules are much smaller than proteins and are therefore especially mobile. The membrane fluidity depends on lipid composition. The saturated fatty acids are all carbon-carbon single bonds and allow maximum interaction of fatty acid tails and makes membrane less fluid. The unsaturated fatty acids are carbon-carbon double bonds and these double bonds bend the hydrocarbon chain, keeping fatty acid tails apart and make the cell membrane more fluid. Cholesterol reduces membrane fluidity by reducing phospholipid movement and hinders solidification at low room temperatures. Thus, the cells regulate membrane fluidity by desaturating fatty acids, by producing more unsaturated fatty acids and through changing tail length. That is, the longer the tail, the less fluid the membrane. The proteins embedded within the lipids of the cell membrane are also involved in maintaining the membrane fluidity. However, the proteins move much more slowly than lipids because of high molecular weight and their tendency to establish connections with other membrane proteins and with underlying cytoskeletal structures. They have a variety of functions within the membranes. Some membrane proteins are enzymes or receptors, whereas most are transport proteins. They are usually specific to a certain ion or molecule and can control the types of substances that can leave or enter the cell. Thus, the membrane fluidity is highly important as it is involved in basic cellular processes, in interaction of several biomolecules, in maintaining membrane assembly, etc. Thank you.